But Boris Johnson, I don't know whether you're aware of this, made a speech yesterday, Ron. Yesterday or the day before, and he made a New Deal speech. Have you heard this?
No, I haven't.
He made a New Deal speech. So you were talking about FDR though, and he made this speech, and it was all a build, and he's going to invest in the schools, and he's going to invest in the transport systems, and he's going to invest in the police, and he's going to invest in the hospitals. I mean, the NHS.
Yeah.
6 months ago, we were worried it's going to get sold off to Trump in a trade deal.
Yeah,
Now
but then they
everybody's
saved him. He likes the NHS now because they saved his life.
Well, in every Thursday we're out there banging our pots and pans, thanking them like lunatics now. So the chances of it being sold off after saving his life and saving so many lives, and us, all loving the NHS and really appreciating them now are next to none. And he's announced this building plan, and to which I shit you not, you've got to listen to the speech. In the middle of his speech, he had to say, as he's announced all these spending plans, in the middle of his speech, he had to say, let me get one thing straight. I am not a communist. Unprompted, he had to say that because of the announcements he's made over here. I mean, it's all well and good, obviously, if announcing something is one thing and doing them is another. And obviously, things have been announced by politicians that rarely get follow through on. But my thought is, Ron, why would he announce all these spending things and then have to say, as a conservative, I'm not a communist, for announcing all these massive socialist spending plans that he's announced? Why would he do that if they weren't actually going to follow through on them? Do you see what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, he
Yeah.
made this speech yesterday, and I just think it's interesting to see how we're sort of coming out of I suppose the coronavirus outbreak over here, and although there have been isolated lockdowns of certain cities, but it's interesting to see how we're coping with it and what direction we're taking over here compared to over there, which
Yeah.
there's no help. I mean, $1,200 checks. Was it? Are you getting another $600 check? Why
I don't I
are they
don't know.
sending
I mean,
checks? By the way,
why what?
why are they sending checks? Why don't they just open accounts at the Fed for people?
Well,
Or
some people do direct deposit. There's a variety of ways you can get it. But like I think I got direct deposit.
oh,
But
okay.
yeah. So there is an option. It's just more like a figuratively sending one-time check or whatever. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the graph of the cases, you see most countries, like you guys, Canada, and it's going down, and it's like we were all on a roller coaster ride, and for you guys, the ride's ending. You're back at the beginning of the line. The ride's over. For us, we got an extra little loop-de-loop. We're going back up again. We went like this, and now we're going way back up. Except this isn't a roller coaster ride,
No.
Gordon. If this was a roller coaster ride,
I'd
then
want,
you got ripped off, and I
yeah.
didn't because
Run it
I
back,
get this
please.
longer ass ride. I get an extra ride, haha. But this isn't a ride. This is a freaking pandemic. People are dying and getting sick. We don't want to be going this way again, but we're going this way again, and it's remarkable just the cognitive dissonance around it in this country. And there's a number of reasons for it. The biggest reason being the government didn't take care of its people at all. So you have these people who they have to go to work. They don't really have a choice, and they're not being looked after. I mean, I get it that we can't close our grocery stores. People need food. We can't close our pharmacies. People need medicine. But the workers should have been taken care of.
Yeah.
Nobody should have been having a shift longer than 4 hours. It shouldn't have happened. All the sanitary equipment should have been there. And it wasn't. People weren't having gloves. People weren't given proper hand sanitizer. When coworkers were getting COVID, they weren't even told about it. A friend of mine out in Pennsylvania, where I'm from, he was just exposed recently because a coworker came down with COVID. And, a lot of their customers aren't even wearing masks in the store. So that's going on. It's
It shows the real failing of this neoliberal sort of experiment that we've been on since
Oh, big
1980,
time.
doesn't it? That
Big
we
time.
didn't even stockpile masks, and Facebook did.
Well, when you are set up for the almighty dollar, adherence to profit and the almighty dollar over everything else. And it's in every industry where it's that way. Healthcare, goods and services, everything. Your GDP is everything. You're just not set up to handle anything like a pandemic. And that's what the United States is. And I understand that, there's capitalism in England too, but you guys have a basic social safety net. You understand that the point of a federal government, among other things, is to look out for the people in a situation like this, in a pandemic. We don't have any of that. We are, the most rugged form of this disastrous system, and we're seeing it crumble before our very eyes. And this is what capitalism is. This is what it does. This is what it's set up to do.
It was
And
predicted to do this as well, wasn't it? Didn't
because it's
Marx
done this every
predict
time.
this?
It's done the same thing every single time. And when you read, so like you mentioned Marx, when you read Marx, when you read right now I'm reading Proudhon, they pretty much spoke out against this stuff, in the centuries ago, saying like this is what's happened. I mean, there's a part in Proudhon where he basically says why we should never have something like Wall Street, why we should never have like big banks. He didn't use that verbiage because it didn't exist then. But he like laid it out. He's like, when you have something that just relies on currency, and the only way to acquire more currency is via other currency, which that's basically like in our, like a very elementary way of predicting something like Wall Street.
Yeah.
He's saying like that's going to crash and burn. We can never do anything like that. So we've been warned centuries ago not to do what we're doing now, and we're freaking doing it. And it's just set up to benefit a small handful while everyone else suffers. And the problem is that small handful controls the media and controls everything else in your life.
And that small handful don't care about the consequences because in their minds they'll be
They're
long
fine.
gone by the time the consequences are paid, so they don't really care about it. It'll be
Yep.
your children that suffer, won't it, Ron?
Yeah, the United States is just their playground. And if it ever gets bad, they'll just, hell, man, some of the richest of the rich, they're just thinking about going up to space.